My daughter-in-law told me to stay in the parking lot because my rough, greasy hands would ruin the aesthetic of her high society gala. She saw a low-class mechanic in a cheap suit. She didn't realize she was looking at the man who designed the engines in every single luxury car her elite friends drove to the event. She thought she was protecting her status. She didn't realize she was insulting the man who signs her husband's paychecks. By the time the champagne was poured, she wasn't worried about my hands anymore. She was worried about where she was going to live tomorrow. My name is Silas. I'm 58 years old. I've spent 40 years in coveralls, breathing in the scent of oil and iron. I started in a one-bay garage and ended up as the chief engineering consultant for Veloce Motors. I don't wear a tie unless someone is getting married or buried. I believe in the precision of a piston and the honesty of a handshake. Then there's my son, Leo, and his wife, Tiffany. Leo is a good kid, but he's soft. He married Tiffany, a woman who treats life like a curated Instagram feed and people like props. To her, I wasn't the man who funded their $200,000 wedding. I was the dirty secret from the garage. Welcome to family revenge. This is for the men who build the world while the elites just live in it. Drop a comment and tell me your trade. Let's see who the real builders are. Hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get into the details of the night the grease met the glitter. It was the night of the Apex Gala, the biggest night in the automotive luxury world. Veloce Motors was unveiling the Stratos 9, a car I had spent 3 years designing in the secret labs of Maranello and Detroit. I was at Leo's house, sitting on the edge of a white silk sofa that looked too expensive to actually sit on. I was wearing a suit I'd bought off the rack. Clean, pressed, but humble. Tiffany walked down the stairs, looking like she'd been dipped in diamonds. She stopped 3 steps from the bottom and looked at me, not with love, with a calculated coldness. "Silas," she said, her voice like ice clinking in a glass. "Leo told me you were planning on coming tonight." "It's the unveiling, Tiffany," I said. "I wouldn't miss it." "Actually, you would," she replied, crossing her arms. "Look at your hands, Silas. Even with the soap, the grease is still there. This is a high-profile event. The CEO of Veloce is going to be there. Potential investors, people with pedigree. Having a mechanic at our table? It sends the wrong message. It says we aren't who we say we are." I looked at Leo. He was staring at his shoes. "Leo?" I asked. "Dad, Tiff just wants tonight to be perfect. Maybe you can just watch the live stream? I'll bring you a plate of the catering later." The catering. Like I was a stray dog waiting at the back door. "Figure it out, Silas," Tiffany said, echoing that phrase I've come to loathe. "Go back to your shop. We'll tell everyone you had a work emergency. It's more believable for someone like you anyway." I didn't argue. I didn't tell them that I didn't just have an invite, I was the keynote speaker. I didn't tell them that the CEO, Giovanni, was my best friend and the godfather to my son. I walked out. I went back to my small apartment above the shop. I sat there for exactly 20 minutes, staring at the blueprints on my wall. I thought about the tuition I'd paid, the down payment on their house I'd gifted, the silent way I'd supported their lifestyle while being treated like an embarrassment. "Figure it out," she had said. I called Giovanni. "Silas, where are you? The car is under the silk, the press is waiting. Your seat is right next to mine." "Change of plans, Gio," I said, my voice low and steady. "I'm coming, but I'm not sitting at the head table, and I'm not using the VIP entrance. I want to see how the help is being treated tonight." "Silas? What happened?" "Just make sure the microphone is hot at 9 p.m., Gio. I have a few words to add to the presentation." I arrived at 8:15 p.m. I didn't take the limo. I drove my 1972 flat black pickup. I parked it right next to the line of pristine Veloce supercars. The valet looked at me like I was a cockroach, but I handed him a $100 bill and told him to keep the engine running. I walked inside. The room was a sea of tuxedos and champagne. I saw Leo and Tiffany at a table near the back. Tiffany was laughing, holding a glass, leaning into a man who I knew was a junior VP at a rival firm. She saw me. Her face turned a shade of pale I'll never forget. She pushed through the crowd, dragging Leo by the sleeve. "What are you doing here?" she hissed, her eyes darting around to see if anyone was watching. "I told you to stay away. You're going to ruin Leo's networking. Look at you. You smell like a garage." "I'm just here to see the cars, Tiffany," I said. "Leave, now, or I'll have security escort you out as a trespasser. I mean it, Silas. You're an embarrassment to this family." "Family?" I asked. "Is that what we are?" Just then the lights dimmed. A spotlight hit the stage. Giovanni walked out. "Ladies and gentlemen," Giovanni's voice boomed, "tonight we unveil the Stratos 9. But before we pull the silk, we must acknowledge the soul of the machine. The man who didn't just build the engine, but who holds the patents to the very technology that makes Veloce the leader in this industry." Tiffany smirked. "See? That's the kind of man we're here to meet. Not a grease monkey like you. Please welcome," Giovanni continued, "the chairman of the board and our chief engineer, Silas Sterling." The room went silent as I walked past Tiffany. I didn't look at her. I walked up the stairs, took the microphone from Giovanni, and turned to face the crowd. I could see Leo and Tiffany from the stage. Tiffany looked like she was about to faint. Leo looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. "I've spent 40 years with grease under my nails," I told the room. The silence was absolute. Some people think that grease is something to be hidden. They think the people who build things are less than the people who buy them. I looked directly at Tiffany. "Tonight, Veloce is announcing a new direction. We are moving our manufacturing and our Family First Scholarship Fund to a new trust. And because I believe in the pedigree of hard work, I've decided that those who don't respect the builder don't deserve the build." After the speech, I walked back to their table. The elite friends Tiffany was trying to impress were now lining up to shake my hand. "Silas, we had no idea," Tiffany stammered, her voice shaking. I was just joking earlier. You know how stressed I get." "I know exactly who you are, Tiffany," I said. "And Leo, I thought I raised a man who stood up for his father. I was wrong." I handed Leo an envelope. "What's this?" Leo asked. "The deed to your house," I said. "I paid it off yesterday, but the Sterling Maintenance Fund, the one that pays your bills and Tiffany's shopping habits, that's closed. Figure it out." I walked out to my truck. The valet held the door open for me, his eyes wide with respect. And I've learned that the best way to deal with people who think you're just a mechanic is to let them see how fast their world stalls when you stop turning the wrench.